Mr. Dennison, is there a second? Oh, he's not? Okay.
And you oftentimes hear a big name person.
Yeah.
I don't know if all this form carryover was up, I just went to the agenda. I just brought up the agenda, I don't know if you got this form material or something.
Okay, no, not on this one.
Okay.
We got about 4 or 5 minutes now. Again, it will not be here for everybody's information. He had a very cool excuse, but he won't be here.
What was his?
It's his 47th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
I can understand why he made the choice that he made.
Absolutely.
You want me to say that 48th anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh. Cynthia's been waiting on that. She's been waiting on that for a long time. Yeah, Chris, what happens is Fred don't make it. April what?
It's not good.
Seems like it was later in the month.
I got it on the calendar.
I do too.
I think it's in the paper last week too.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not there, then I'm not gonna be gone.
Yeah, Cynthia's been waiting on that for
Oh,
months.
no.
She got it.
Well, you can bring it to the office and we can set it in front.
She gonna be here.
Normally
She'll be here.
they'll bring us the little recycling tubs where we take in y'all's stuff.
I can go back to the office tomorrow and pull up that email and email it to you, right, with the date. Okay.
I read my own. No, it just takes me a long time. It takes me a long time. That's very slow.
No person.
We ready? Okay, let me say good evening to everyone. My name is Canola Scott. I am the chair of the Madison County Planning and Zoning Commission. This time I'd like to call the meeting to order for our public hearing. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you here. If you would, as always, I'd like to stand and for just a word of prayer. Father God, our Father, it's once again that we're bound in our presence, thanking Thee for all the good and perfect gifts Thou bestowed upon us. Our Father, we honor You because we know that we can't do anything without You. Our Father, we ask that You bless each and every one that's in attendance tonight. Bless this commission that we may do the job that we've been appointed to do. And our Father will be so glad to give You all the honor, the glory, and the praise. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen. First, I'd like for the members to announce themselves. Start on my left.
Cynthia Fortson elected by the planning and zoning.
Kenneth Bradley, District 1. Canola Scott, Chair, appointed by the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
Lee Mitchell, District 2.
And William Smith, District 4.
All right, with that, first order of business this evening, I am required to read a few statements regarding the zoning process. Should you have any questions after I have finished, please raise your hands and I will try to answer them. Zoning directly affects private property rights. These include the rights of property owners to enjoy and use of their property and the right of adjacent property owners and the general public not to be unreasonably harmed by specific land use. The recommendations made by the Planning and Zoning Commission this evening will be based on provisions of the Georgia Zoning Procedure Act, the Madison County Zoning Ordinance, the Comprehensive Plan for the Land Use of Madison County, and information that is presented at this public hearing tonight. Order of business. As to the order of business tonight, first I will introduce the application and then the zoning administrator will give her comments. Then the applicant or their authorized agent will come forward, state their name and address and sign in. Then state the reason for their request. You may provide any other information or documentation supporting the application. Next, the planning and zoning members will have the opportunity to ask the applicants questions to clarify their understanding of the issue related to the application. Afterwards, I will open the floor for public comment in support of or in opposition to the request. The Madison County Planning and Zoning Commission is a recommending body only, consisting of concerned citizens who are appointed to 4-year terms by the county commissioners. We are a fact-finding body that visits the properties under consideration, review the information associated with the application, consider public comment raised during the public hearing, and within the guidelines of the comprehensive plan and other use land ordinance, make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners regarding these applications. The final binding decision on each request will be made by the Madison County Board of Commissioners at its meeting here on Monday night, April the 3rd. The forum for appealing the decision of the Board of Commissioners is the Superior Court of Madison County. After your application has been heard, you're free to leave, but you're welcome to stay if you wish. I emphasize that every applicant or their representative is not quite required to be present at the second hearing, where I will present the application to the Board of Commissioners. If after I made the presentation, the applicant feels that there's some information left out or something that you would like to add, please feel free to do so at that time. In addition, any other person supporting or opposing the request should also be present for the second hearing. The second hearing will be held at the Board of Commissioners meeting on April 3rd. With that, we will move into the order of business tonight, and I will ask our zoning administrator if she will just call them out and give her comments on each application, and then the applicant may come forward.
Okay. First up, we are to consider the the conditional use request for Michael Lackey, and he is requesting to build and operate a meat processing facility on his property. The property is located at 2055 Wesley Chapel Road in Danielsville on map 23, parcel 51 in District 1. Now this is to operate, it's a kind of a small scale meat processing facility. All setbacks can be met and there's adequate acreage for the facility. He did enclose a letter of intent that basically kind of goes for the state. There's not going to be excessive traffic, not an increase in excessive traffic, or it should not negatively affect the adjoining property owners is his scale. Mr. Lackey lives on the property. And it is a cattle farm that he and his family own, and they are third generation functioning beef farm, and the primary goal is to be able to process their own livestock. However, they would process beef, pork, and deer, at the citizen's request, and the size structure is 50 by 50. Hours of operation is Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And he was just indicating that there would be no noise from this. And the adjoining property is owned by his father. They own a great deal of acreage there. And he said that he believes with a with a local processor in our area shutting down, he believes this facility will encourage farmers, hunters to keep their processing business within the county.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lackey, are you present?
Yes, sir.
Please come and let us know what you want us to do here.
Michael Lackey, she stated from 2055 West of Chapel Road. My intent is to open a small-scale processing facility, primarily for our own livestock. I'd also like to offer the business within the public area to, again, take a load off some of the few local processors we have left and try to pull some of that business back into the county that we lost losing one right down the street from me not long ago. Would be a small facility. I don't see how it's going to impact the neighbors, especially from a noise standpoint. Any noise will be, apart from livestock, which we already have, will be contained within the building during the business hours of 8 to 6, Monday through Saturday. As far as wastewater is going to be characterized by an engineer, see what type of private septic we need to go to on our own property, and any meat waste products will be transported to R&B landfill in Homer, Georgia. I have a letter of approval from them for meat waste disposal. It will be stored in sealed containers in a cooled unit until time for transport.
Okay. Anything else?
That's about all I get for you, sir.
All right. Any board members have any questions for Mr. Lackey? No? Thank you, sir.
One question. I'm sorry. You mentioned that your family's adjacent properties. Can you point out what we're looking at right here? What would be your family property?
Would you like me to come up with
That's around?
It would be, so my father has the property directly across the street, and then my great uncle is right here next to us. My dad's brother owns this property, and as well as down.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any additional questions? All right, thank you, sir, Mr. Lackey.
Sign in here, sir.
Yes, sir, please. We will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Anyone here wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Hearing none, is there anybody here to speak in opposition to this rezone request? I see a hand in the back. Please come forward, state your name, and tell us what you want to hear.
I don't know if I'm opposed or for it or against it. I'm just going to ask the question. My property adjoins that property. I own the 6.7 acres on Blackberry Lane.
I'm sorry, your name?
Amy Barron.
Amy Barron.
Barron, B-A-R-R-O-N.
Okay, Ms. Barron, what's your question?
Well, my question is, where's the building gonna be located? Is it gonna be behind, next to, I mean, I heard him say how he's gonna dispose of everything.
I think we've got a site plan there. That helps, sorry, it's, can't get it to turn over. Scan document.
Okay, as soon as she finishes, Mr. Lockett will have an opportunity to come back and he can show exactly where he plans to build a facility.
I think that's my property, the little triangle, that's part of my property at the bottom. I think this is mine. And it goes along his property down here. And I was just curious where he's gonna be putting it. Because my property is an open field, so I don't know, if he was gonna put it in the back, I was just curious, how that was gonna affect me. I heard him say about how he's gonna dispose and all that stuff, and that's fine. I just don't want something to cause dogs or coyotes and things like that to come on the property, because I have livestock too.
Where the cursor is where is the proposed site, the little red rectangle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to know where it was gonna be.
Okay.
Thank you.
So anyone else in opposition? Not, Mr. Lockett, would you come and, I guess you could point out exactly where it's gonna be located, just for her?
Absolutely. On this screen here,
Either one.
okay. So the proposed building, I don't know if you're familiar with my brick house here. It'll be directly behind my brick house, meeting the property line setback drastically over here where yours is. And as far as the animal problem, we have measures in place already controlling the coyote population. I actually have someone that comes out every weekend for that problem because we're already dealing with it with our current livestock that we have. It's not going to impact that at all. Like I said, all of that problem is going to be contained inside until it's hauled off to another landfill.
All right, thanks, sir. Anyone else in opposition?
The access to the facility will be basically the yellow.
Correct.
That's the driveway.
It's a service road that's been there, and we won't be adding anything else as far as driveways.
Okay. Anyone else? Not, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for a motion to accept, deny, or with conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Kenneth to approve.
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Smith.
All day long.
Have a motion and a second. We're ready to vote. Cynthia?
Yes.
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 Mr. Lockett, this has been approved. Again, the second public hearing will be on April the 3rd before the Madison County Board of Commissioners. You're not required to be there, but I would suggest that you do.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time.
All right, Mr. Tracy, next.
Okay, next up is Wentford Carey, and he is requesting to rezone his 23.86 acres from A1 to A2 to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with current zoning regulations and to allow a second home to be built on the property for his son as an accessory dwelling unit. Property is located at 115 Cary Road in Danielsville on map 50, parcel 73 in District 4. And he is currently zoned A1 and he does not meet the minimum acreage, so he just has 23.86. So we will be dropping him down to A2 to be in conformity with the ordinance. And in doing so, our current regulations state that you can have a second home on the property if you have at least 10 acres and on A2. He did express he did not want to split this out. He just wanted it to be as is, as an accessory dwelling unit.
All right, Mr. Carey? Come forward, please sign in, state your name, and tell us what you want us to know.
I'm Redford Carey, 115 Carey Road. And we just heard what we want to do, Mr. Patrick, and we would like to get this approved by the board. And it's just for another residence, and our son would be on the property.
Any questions by members of the board?
Yes, that county road, they divide your property anyway,
Goes right through it.
you're right to it.
It did have 25 acres with it, but when the road was widened, they took off part of it. I think it was 25 and 2/10, but after the road was paved wide, he cut it down to 23, 28.
Okay.
Do you know, about the square footage of the second accessory building?
Well, we hadn't decided on the exact, somewhere 1,000, maybe 1,200.
What size is yours?
Ma'am,
What's your square foot?
mine is about 14.
I think what she's referring to is, you know, the second dwelling has to be smaller
They have
than
to be smaller.
Yes.
How much smaller, does it have a number?
No, it just has to be small.
Just has to be smaller.
It will be smaller.
He doesn't get the man.
Maybe real small before we get there.
Any additional questions for Mr. Terry?
How far is the new proposed home from your home?
Probably 500 feet, maybe. 500, 600, something like that. About.
It needs to, because where it's looking, it looks like there, oh, that's just existing. Never mind. That's your existing. I thought that was up.
Any other questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here that wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Anybody here wants to speak in favor? Hearing none, is there anybody who wants to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion to accept or deny.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Motion by Mr. Smith,
Second.
second by Cynthia. Kenneth?
Yes.
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 Mr. Carey, you have an approval from this board. We will recommend to the Board of Commissioners that they approve this. Again, you're welcome to come to the public hearing on April 3rd.
Okay, thank you.
All right? Tracy?
Okay. Next up will be Ms. Sherry Thornton. She is the applicant for her mother, Patsy Gordon, and she is requesting to rezone 2 of her adjoining properties, each containing 1.31 acres and the other 7.22 acres. And that'll be from A2 to AR to bring the lawfully non-conforming properties into compliance with current zoning regulations and to absorb 2.17 acres into the 1.31 acre tract, and that will be from the 7.22 acre tract. And this is to include a septic tank and 2 storage buildings that were actually on the other tract that belongs to the house that she lives in. The new parcel sizes will be 3.48 and 5 acres. The properties are located at 773 and 653 Holloway Road in Danielsville on map 62, parcels 17 and 18 in District 4. And I will pull up that site plan here. So she owns both properties, and currently she resides in the home on the lot where she resides, on the 1.37 acre tract, and then she has a rental unit that her grandson is living in on the other tract, and that is the 7.22 acres. So she's just wanting to kind of trim up her property lines to include her septic tank and her storage buildings that were back in the day just crossed the property lines because she owned both properties, and she's just wanting to get that straightened up now.
Okay, Ms. Harden, please come forward, state your name, and tell us what you'd like for us to know.
My name is Sherry Sarton, and I live at 773 Holloway Road, Danielsville. And Mom's just, like she says, wanting to get the properties kind of balanced in the property lines and what goes to her property to be on her property. So we have had everything surveyed and redone, so it would try to balance out and like her septic tank and her buildings to be on her property so we can sell the real property.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Any concerns?
I will say, I went out and visited these ladies. My concern at our previous meeting had to do with the access easement. It does fall on the adjacent piece of property. Wondering if we could eliminate that easement, but practicality is just not there. She's been living on this property for a long time. There's a lot of trees. If this were a new home or a new driveway, I could see making sure that you had the road frontage on yours, but under these conditions, I don't feel like that's appropriate. So. Okay. Anybody else interested?
Any other comments or concerns? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we will go to public hearing on this one. Anybody here wants to speak in approval of this rezone request? Anyone here wants to speak? Approval. Seeing none, anyone here wants to speak in opposition to? Anyone in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve this rezone request.
Okay, a motion by Lee. I'll second.
Can I add to, or can I ask him to add to that motion? Yeah, the condition is a flat fee, a new flat fee recorded.
Sure.
Well, it has to be by the zoning regulations within 6 months of the DOT approval date.
But what she's saying, I think, is you still have a non-conforming if you don't have that new flat recorded. So I was sort of debating whether it could be a condition too.
So do we need to do one?
I think it doesn't hurt.
Okay. So would you add that?
Sure.
Would you repeat that?
However you want to word that.
You tell me if I'm wrong.
That's the
Motion to approve with the condition that a new plat be recorded to reflect the approval.
Well, I guess. I think we already have the plat, so yeah. So I think you mean that the plat has been submitted with the application, that it be submitted for recording within 6 months, Tracy, is that right? Okay.
Okay. Motion by Lee, second by me. I'm a yes.
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 Yes. All right. Ms. Sarton, you can inform your mother that this is not approved. We will recommend to the Board of Commissioners for approval again on April the 3rd. There will be another public hearing right here on the Commissioners. You don't have to be here, but I recommend that you do. All right. Next.
right, next up is Dawn Pace, and, she is requesting to rezone a 3-acre portion of her property from A1 to AR to allow it to be split off for a home site for her son. Property is located at 4628 Highway 191 in Comer on map 66, parcel 23, B1, and that's a portion of it in District 4. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Ms. Pace? Please come forward, state your name, sign in, and tell us what you want us to know.
Okay, Dawn Pace. We live here in Danielsville. We bought this property back in the fall. And we're, just like Tracy was saying, we're looking to split off just 3 acres to our son, so that he can build a home for his family that is expected next week. And eventually, someday way down the line, we'll have our home on the rest of the property. And initially they were asking, Tracy was asking about the 5 acres, that is actually the road frontage, to the property. It was weird way back, whoever cut it up, they left this little strip of 5 acres that basically once we built a driveway down it, it's the rest of it, there's no room to do anything on either side. And then it crosses a pipeline. So part of the property is on the pipeline. So basically everything from the road frontage, that 5-acre strip is just access to get to the property that's back on the right. So that's where our home place will be, hopefully, one day. And our son is looking at the 3 acres there on the map. Well, it's not on there.
Yeah,
Yeah, over in the corner.
Right.
Right.
All right. Questions from the board?
I have a question. Well, this is gonna be a flag lot now.
Ma'am?
It's gonna be shaped like a flag lot.
Oh, well, yeah, technically.
Well, it's flag lot already. So, when you build, both of you gonna use that same road access?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, that's just, okay. In the flag lot, okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Pace?
Do you have any interest in joining the 2 parcels to make one, or you want to leave them separate?
Well, it was just the way it was when we first bought the property. We definitely didn't do it that way ourselves. But yeah, we have no problem doing that. That way, right now, even looking on Q Public, it's still updated only to have us on the 5 acres, and it still has the other people's name on the larger acreage. It's still not updated.
I guess it would just be up to you. I just wanted to get considered joining.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can do it on the same, when you submit the plat, assuming this is approved.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to get a surveyor to cut off the 3 acres.
Right.
You could combine the remainder into one plat if you wanted, and one tract if you wanted to, on the same plat.
It allow you to do homestead exemption through
Mhm.
CUPA as well, instead of having one parcel you're getting it on 5 acres, you're not.
Okay.
It would be barred in.
Okay.
You might have to check the zoning to make sure both of
Yeah.
those parcels are the same.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Any additional questions? No. Thank you, ma'am.
for day.
Good catch, never let one.
Okay, we will, move to the public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak for this rezone request? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? If not, we'll close the public hearing, come back, and I will entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
By Cynthia, second by Smith, that we approve. I guess it's on me.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This has been approved by us. We will recommend to the county commissioners that this rezone request be approved on April 3rd. There will be a second public hearing right here in this room. I would suggest that you please be present. All right, number 5.
Okay, number 5 is for Charles Seagraves. He is the applicant for his father's chain, Seagraves, and he is requesting to rezone his 18.14 acres from A1 to A2 to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with the current zoning regulations. Property is located at 892 Hannah Creek Church Road in Royston on map 75, parcel 14 in District 4. And this is one of the two-step rezones. We first have to bring it into conformity because right now it's an A1 and it's only 18 acres. So the next step down would be A2 to have that in conformity. The end goal after this is approved will be to rezone a 3.83 acre tract to AR for a home site for family members. So this is just step 1.
All right. Mr. Seagraves, Charles. Please sign your name, tell us who you are and what you're looking for.
My name is Charles Seagraves, and I'm trying to rezone my father's property in conformity with the zone regulations. So, like you were saying, I can split off a 3.83 acre tract and rezone that to AR so I can build a house on it.
All right. Anything else? Any questions? Seems to be done. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Again, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that wants to speak for this rezone request? Anyone wants to speak in favor of? If not, anyone want to speak in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. A motion by Lee,
I'll second.
second by Kenneth. Any questions or comments? Lee?
Yes.
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 Yes. Mr. Seagraves, this is approved. We will recommend to the Board of Commissioners that they approve also. And again, the next public hearing will be April 3rd, right here in this room. All right, number 6.
Okay, this is for Byron Sexton, and he is requesting to rezone a 3.98 acre portion of his 21.95 acre tract from A2 to AR to split off with an existing home. The remaining 17.97 acres with an existing home will remain in the A2 zone. Property is located at 255 Collins Sedley Road in Danielsville on map 61, parcel 34 in District 4. And this is a part of a two-step rezone process. So he has already completed going from A1 to A2, and that was approved February the 6th. So this is just for the 3.98 acres to be cut out with that existing home. And I don't see him in attendance tonight.
I don't either.
And that would be considered a
Mr.
withdrawal.
Sexton is, that will be considered a withdrawal.
Yes, sir.
He is not present. He has to be present for the first public hearing. Since he's not, guess you will contact him and let him know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he'll lose the application fee and won't be able to reapply for 6 months.
Right. All right. Moving on, to number 7.
Okay. All right, this is for Tanya Hardy, applicant for her husband, Charles Hardy, is requesting to rezone this 10-acre property from A1 to A2 to bring the lawfully non-conforming property into compliance with the current zoning regulations. The property is located at 1690 Pelican Springs Road in Hull on map 18, parcel 43 in District 1. And so this is part of the two-step rezone process. Of course, she is in A1, or the property's in A1, and it's only 10 acres, so A2 would be the next step down. So we're doing that, and then the end goal would be to rezone a portion, a 2-acre portion from A2 to AR for her son, or excuse me, for a family member.
Okay. Hardy, please come forward. Sign in and tell us what you need to know.
Okay, my name is Tanya Hardy. My husband's Charles Hardy. But, yeah, we're pretty much what she said, just rezoning it down, and then we're doing the acreage off for my son to build his house, he and his wife and their family. And that's pretty much what we're doing.
Two-step process, as the rest of it. Any questions from the board for the Hardys?
Where y'all just gonna build a house at, right behind your trailer over there?
No, it will be,
It'll be right.
yeah.
The driveway will come off the open.
Yeah, it won't be on Sanford Road, it'll come off that side road on Pelican Springs is where we're going to do that.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
So basically, we're just putting it into non-conforming right now.
Right, taking it from non-conforming to conforming.
All right, we'll go open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who wants to speak in favor of this rezone request? Anyone in favor? Is anyone here in opposition? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Now we'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Cynthia,
Second.
second by Kenneth. Any questions, any comments? Not, William?
Yes.
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 Has been approved. We will recommend to the Board of Commissioners that they approve it also. And, on April the 3rd, there'll be a second public hearing right here in this room.
Okay, thank y'all.
Number 8.
Okay, this one is actually 2 applications that if you want to hear them separately, we can, or if you want to vote on them together. But this is for Carrie Brooks, and she is requesting a conditional use to operate a small-scale, non-breeding dog training and boarding business on her property. The property is located at 1284 New Hope Church Road in Comer on map 97, parcel 68H in District 4. And then she is also, requesting a variance to operate this business on her property, but the variance is needed due to having a 2.13 acre deficit on the minimum 10 acre requirement. All setbacks can be met on her 7.87 acre property. The property is located, again, 1284 New Hope Church Road in Comer, map 97, parcel 68H in District 4. So she is allowed to do this as a conditional use with what she's on now. But the only condition is in the A2 to have a dog kennel, you have to have a minimum of 10 acres, and she has 7.87. So that is the reason for the variance, to see if that deficit could be approved or not.
All right. Can I raise a question? And
Yes.
you were right last time, but I just found something else. So is the variance, so 1112 lists the kinds of things you can do variances from. And the lot size is not one of them that I see.
Now, I followed section 72217. No, that's just the acreage in it.
Yeah, 7227, that's what
Okay.
you knew about, but I didn't last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but now I'm trying to figure out what allows a variance.
He's referring to Article 11 in the zoning ordinance, what allows, like you just said, allows for the variance in general.
Yeah, so 1112 lists special exception variances shall be limited to relief from the following requirements, and it's setbacks, height, lot width, etc. The lot size is not one of them. And then 11.2 is hardship variances, which I'm not sure this would meet, but even if it did, then 11.24 says one of the things you cannot do with a hardship variance is reduction of minimum lot size.
It sounds like that, we have some unanswered questions as to what, if this is a legal variance or not. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, sir. Although I think, the application's been filed, and I think you should go through.
I think we need to go through
Yes, sir.
what we got. Is Brooks
And
here?
Yes.
Please come forward, state your name, and tell us what you're looking for.
My name is Carrie Brooks. We are at 1284 New Hope Church Road in Comer. And I'm here for, exactly as she said, where I own a dog training company. I've been a dog trainer for about 8 years now. I started my own company, Southern Peak Canine Solutions, just over 2 years ago. And our goal is to help owners create a better relationship with their dogs through the education of dog behavior. We teach basic obedience, everything from puppy starting to basic obedience to helping solve bigger behavioral problems. We bought this property last year before the variances were changed, before the ordinances were changed, when it was 5 acres and not 10 acres. So we bought this property at 7.78 acres when it was a 5 acre requirement for a dog kennel. So we researched all these properties. I called and talked to the county. I read through the ordinances, and at that point, we would have been just fine to run our kennel on this property, on the dog training business, because, like I said, it was at 5 acres at that point and not 10. Over the last 8 months or so, we have been finishing our manufactured home, and so that's why we're not on the property yet. So we just moved in February is when I started this process, and then I found basically all of this out that we were no longer meeting the minimum requirement, and then started the process for our both the conditional use and the variance now.
Okay. All right. Questions from the board for Ms. Brooks? Go ahead.
Yeah, as I was driving past, I know you said that your kennel was gonna go up the hill or go up. Okay, as I was driving past on the other side, is your, fencing is, there's, clearing in, I don't know, is that a little building or something?
Not on our property. There's nothing other than our manufactured home on our property. You might have been seeing, the neighbor who is further down New Hope Church Road. He has, a brick home further back, and I believe he has like a greenhouse building or something. His property, he owns, like 6 or 10 acres between us.
Oh.
And there's actually a 60-foot easement, for the 35 acres behind us, and then our property. And I put all the measurements for the distances between the homes, on my site map. I think the minimum is, like nearly 700 feet.
Yeah, I've got that pulled up now.
From the proposed location to the nearest home.
We don't have that.
Yes, ma'am, it's in your packet. It was in the, supporting docs that you have to download now.
Anybody else? Lee?
Point of clarification, when I came out to meet with you, you kind of gave me the sequence of events from, I guess, early last year, when you had called in to make sure that it was A2, and the minimum acreage at that point was 5 acres. The county changed that to 10 acres on July the 25th. According to Q Public, you purchased the property in August 22nd of 22. So it was after that. However, I guess you wouldn't have known that it was changed to 10 instead of 5.
Yeah, I believe we started the process in early June when we had found the process through our real estate agent and started the process of buying it and closing on that property.
You just made the statement that you had purchased the property prior to the change.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
But you wouldn't have known the change took place.
Yeah, I didn't know the exact dates either, and yeah, we were also not made aware. When we were searching for the property, buying the property, we checked all those boxes, because this is the sole purpose for buying the property, is to continue a business that I've already built for 2 years.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
That's the sequence of events.
Right. I guess I have a question for the staff, not for you, the staff. Okay. A dog kennel is acceptable in an A2 zone. But this thing says in order to operate a dog kennel, it must be 10 acres. Now, is that the same 10 acres? Does it have to be A2? Or if it's not A2, if it's A1, it still has to be 10 acres.
25.
It has to be 25 acres to be A1, but it still has to be 10 acres
Correct.
of that to be into the dog kennel.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're asking for a variance of 2.13 acres.
I believe so, yes.
And I think we initiated the variance after we kind of heard her sequence of events on possible vested rights.
Yeah, I had come in and that's sort of what I was advised to do when I spoke with Tracy, was to set the conditional use and also apply for this variance for the property after the ordinance is changed.
And of course, the property was split up before any of this was ever.
Any other questions for Ms. Brooks? Any additional questions? All right, Ms. Brooks, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now open the public hearing. Is there anybody here that wants to speak in favor of the conditional use and the variance to put in a non-breeding dog training boarding facility? Is there anybody here who wants to speak in favor? Please come up. Please come up and.
I'm not in favor or against. Are you in favor?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you go then.
Please go.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak on it since I am a resident there as well on the property. I'm a roommate.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome to speak.
So, yes, Ashley Steele Stonebreak, that is my name. I live on the property. I'm also a dog trainer. I've been a dog trainer for 9 or so years. Just in the last month alone, I have come across 3 or 4 loose dogs running wild that we have taken in and then found their owners and stuff. And so I just think that having a kennel on the property would give us and give Carrie more ability to do things like that. There's a huge loose dog problem in Madison County, in my opinion. And so it's nice to have a safe place for people, if they do come across a loose dog, to bring to us until we can find the owner or transfer it to the animal shelter. So I just think having a kennel where there is a safe space for dogs and for people to get help for their dogs would be a great addition to the community.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, like I say, I'm not sure if I'm for or against.
State your name and...
My name is Jerry Ackerman. I live right across the street from the property. I was just wondering, like I say, they said they've had experience at it. Is the kennel in a building? Is it in a building one? Okay, so I'm not worried about barking and stuff.
Yeah, I know
all the time.
Do I need to wait until he's done or try to answer his question?
Yeah, well, but like I say, that was one of my main concerns. I really have no objection to it. I just want to make sure that it's just not an open kennel. What size kennel is it going to be? Is it going to be like 5, 6 dogs or 100, like that? But do I need to sign too?
Yes, please sign and state your name.
And there is a letter of intent if you would like me to read that or set it up on the...
Yeah, like I said, my name is Jerry Ackerman. I live at 1327 New Hope Church, right across the street from the property.
I'm happy to go over all of that. It's
back.
in my letter of intent as well.
I'll let her come back. Anyone else in favor? Anyone else in favor of this rezone request? Is there anyone in opposition to this rezone request? Anyone in opposition? Please come forward, state your name, sign in, and tell us what you want us to know.
My name is Darren Jones. I live across the road at 1241 New Hope Church Road, and I also have a 5-acre lot, between 5-acre lots. Jerry's kind of worried about the noise, was one thing. Next thing, how many dogs would be there? He's got grandkids. I'm about to have one where the dogs be controlled. We hadn't, far as I've been there 27 years. He's probably been there about the same.
Yeah,
Never really had any kind of vicious dogs or whatnot. So, that's what that's not my concern. Guess we moved there about the same time. How much traffic would be problem? Which there's more now. It used to be private road, but now it's usually cut through to the bypass road.
Yeah, like semis too.
But that's kind of some of my concerns.
All right, so you actually issued this letter?
Yeah, the email that Chris
from my wife.
is saying.
Yes.
Chris, okay.
And worried about, property taxes, thinking it's commercial. I might go up high.
All right, there were a few questions. Ms. Brooks, would you like to come back and
of course.
Answer those questions as to how big, how many dogs, that type of thing?
Would you like me to address you or them?
Address us.
Okay.
They're here.
As far as the amount of dogs, we have run a fairly small scale training facility, so it'd be anywhere between 10 to 15. That's probably a max. The building that we plan to do is going to be basically a 30 by 30 concrete slab with a roughly 12 by 20 shed that will be insulated. So the sound that comes from that is going to be minimal. The same amount of sound that would come from dogs barking inside my home. The dogs are in training, of course, right? We're professional trainers. We're here to improve their behavior. So things like nuisance barking, anything like that, is going to be immediately under control because those are things we're trying to fix with dogs, if that were an issue. So noise, like I said, is going to be insulated. I state in here that we Also use a product called Wizzy Wash, which is it's a chlorine-based cleanser. It is a desanitizer and a deodorizer, and so it's safe for animals and dogs and plants. Our property will be fenced, so that the kennel itself will be our shed with indoor-outdoor runs. Every place that the dogs are will be what we call double gated, right? So there's 2 entrance points every point that you get to get to the dogs, including our fenced-in front gate. That will be completed. So containment is not an issue. Our kennel will have cameras on the inside so that are detected for motion and sound overnight. So if for some reason there was a dog barking, we utilize bark collars, but if for some reason that was an issue, we'd be made aware of it and we could remedy the situation immediately. We also have GPS tracking collars on our dogs. So if, in worst case scenario, a dog were to escape from our property in some way or fashion through all of those gates and fences and doors, we have GPS tracking that notifies us immediately on our phones wherever we are that the dog has left the designated GPS area. I've used these collars for a very long time. They're very accurate. And so we have it already set to our home. So that's something that we put on every single dog that we have on our property. And I would also just like to say, I know that noise is obviously a concern. I don't want to cause a problem for my neighbors. I know several of my neighbors on my side of the road do have dogs that are left outside all night, and they do bark. I know at least one of my neighbors has what I believe is a livestock guardian dog, which is great. You know, I'm an advocate for that. That dog doing its job means it barks all night long, sending away predators and stuff like that. So our dogs, even though they might be a larger amount, are always going to be contained inside. I noted in my letter of intent that dogs are usually out starting around 7 to 8 a.m. That's when we feed breakfast. They go and they'll be worked throughout the day, either on our property or when we take them into public. And then usually they're put up at about 7 p.m. in the evening, and then they're in from there. They get one last potty break at about 11 p.m. And then they are inside overnight. They're never left unattended. They will never be left outside overnight, and we will always be present. This is my full-time job. I run this business, and so I am home with the dogs at any point.
All right. Any other questions, Ms. Brooks?
Yeah, I had a question. What time frame are you looking at? Like, those are your personal dogs that were out there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you going to have any dogs start training before you get your building up, or all this is going to take place after the building is?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, my business is on hold right now. My whole income stream is on hold right now. So as soon as possible is really, as far as I'm aware, I'm waiting for the conditional use to be approved to use the property for that. But my entire business and income stream is on hold right now. So as soon as possible.
Okay, so if it's approved, then you would start doing your training. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm asking. So those dogs that you will bring in now will be in that fence area that you have now. Are you planning on increasing the fencing area? Or? Yeah, those are just personal dogs. Yeah. So everything will be built out and fenced. That's basically just a temporary where we moved in so we could have some fence for personal dogs. So that's you came out today. That's all that was fencing for personal dogs who are not reliable off leash because we don't have all of our fencing up yet. So that's just for personal use. The rest of like the shed will be completely fenced in. We have the door, then you have indoor and outdoor runs. 5x10 runs, if you're familiar, will be inside the shed. So that will be the setup for that.
All right, any other additional questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion, and then we'll entertain a motion. Thank you. As part of the discussion, the one thing that it sounds as if Ms. Brooks now have planned a very fine operation. The thing that bothers me is the variance requiring 10 acres And a variance of a little over 2 acres, bothers me somewhat, because we have not had requests for variances of that huge amount. That affects me, bothers me a lot, when looking at this particular request. Nothing about the plan for the business, that kind of thing, but just the rules that have been set forth. So that's my comment.
And I
Sure.
concern too, because you said the variance does not cover shortage in acreage.
That's right.
So
But, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, so where does that leave us? Because it's not covered.
Yeah, I think what we're dealing with is maybe not so much, it's true, I mean, a variance doesn't really cover, doesn't apply, but what potentially does is vested rights. We're gonna be dealing with a number of staff, they're dealing with these during this time period where all these text amendments are happening, people are making plans based on one thing and then it changes, and there's a whole body of law that we could talk for a week about or more about vested rights and when it applies and when it doesn't. For my part, I'm comfortable leaving it to your discretion as to whether you think it should apply in any given situation or not, and defer to staff for their recommendation to you on that.
And that's where, when I was brought to the decision, it was started prior to the change. And then when I looked at the difference between what the change is going from the 5 to the 10 as the minimum, you fall in better than 50% towards the new compliance standard, going from 5 to 10, so she's 7.8, just under 8 acres, she's 2/3 of the way there, and that's a call I made.
Yeah, okay.
And so I'm comfortable backing this with y'all and the BOC due to the time frame and the closeness to coming in. If it was 5 acres on the money, I would be very concerned coming in with it because of the setbacks. And that's one of the reasons it went up. It's almost impossible to meet setbacks on the 5 acres. It's like A1 with the chicken houses, that we had to increase it to make sure that when you did something, you could meet your setbacks without going through this. And honest to goodness, I felt like this was a needle in the haystack. In our county of over 16,000 parcels, that on this one where she can meet the setbacks, where she's right at a cusp coming across there, I felt that the vested rights were there due to the time frame working with them.
So maybe the staff recommendation is to grant the conditional use based, and not necessarily a variance, but grant the conditional use combined with a recognition of vested right to do it on this acreage.
Yeah. The legal version of what was said. Now that it is in place moving forward, I don't believe any of that should be taken
right
due to the time frame table, whatever.
Well, it's just going to be a limited period of time where we're dealing with these.
So you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to ask a staff, is there any, I know we have had breeding operations come before us here recently, is there any state level compliance that will regulate and?
You don't be a state registered kennel?
We don't breed dogs.
For holding facility to be inspected by the state in case anybody does it, are you going to be registered through GDA?
I believe so.
Yes, there will be a state component implied into this. And then where she was talking about the number, I know in other kennel situations with the proximity to the neighbors, concerned on how many dogs would be housed there. It may be another thing if y'all decide to take it up. Say you do wish to approve it, and 15, did I call that right somewhere? In
Yeah,
that
it's 10 to 15.
So say no more than 15 dogs on premises.
Yes, you can always put conditions on the conditional use, so number of dogs housed inside, deferred back concern, things like that, if you feel appropriate.
But then that still puts it back on the county though to then enforce, inspect, and we've kind of talked about that a little bit.
So can we put a condition also, because she said she don't know, well, you said you were gonna be registered, or what did you say? Yeah.
If she'd be registered with the Georgia Department of Agriculture as a boarding facility, since they're training.
So we put a condition that she can be, okay, because there was a concern, she said something about, are you gonna be collecting strays? Because she said something about strays.
No, it's just, sorry, am I allowed to? It's just the ones that we have found, like, on our road. We keep them for a couple of days until we find their owners and then give them back. Otherwise, if we don't find their owners, we're giving them to the Madison County shelter.
Mostly we're trying to prevent dogs from getting hit by cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. They live like 200 feet from 72.
Yeah.
And I'll just jump in and say, I went on your Facebook page, I did some research, I went by the property. Thank you for the professional manner that you conduct your business with the presentation. I don't want this to be as if we're trying to be punitive or something like that.
I understand.
But obviously, if the shoe was on the other foot, you had neighbors. The beautiful part where I sit, I'm all for property rights. Y'all come together and help with the solution for noise or whatever it is. That's what really makes a community or neighborhood special. And obviously, y'all coming in and the people that are there here expressing their thoughts. I thank all y'all for being here this evening.
Yeah, we have no desire to cause any issues, right? This is a business that I have put my heart and soul into. Even for the last 8 years that I've been a dog trainer, I've always wanted to run my own business so that I can do it the way that I think is right, and we can do right by these dogs. So I know Tracy had said something about, putting up, hedges or additional sound barrier things. We're open to any and all of those things. We just want to be able to run a dog training business and be a benefit to the community.
Regarding variance, I feel like in all fairness, you tried to do your homework prior to the county changing the minimum requirement from 5 acres to 10. You did your homework, you inquired about it. It was an A2 at the time, so you made the preparations to buy your property and put a home on it, and that's what you've done. The fact that it was changed midstream, you didn't know about it, so that's kind of what's caused the variance issue here.
Well, we were trying to go slightly over too. We didn't, like you said, didn't want to be right on the 5 acre mark, which was the old requirement. We wanted to make sure we had more space than that, which is why we went for something around 8 acres.
Yeah, I appreciate you accommodating me.
Yeah, of course. We're happy to answer questions.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this before we bring it to the board for statement?
There's one more consideration when we are looking at this. As the county, when we're looking at kennels, whether or not they need to be a conditional use as far as number and use, any commercial operation, training being a commercial operation, where they house 4 or more adult dogs, cats, rabbits, kennels refers to a lot, or boarding facility for training, grooming, anything like that. So we're already establishing that a minimum is 4 dogs for this. So if y'all do want to set a maximum, we have a base to start from.
It's not a kennel unless it's 4 dogs or more.
You got a minimum, you don't have a maximum.
Yeah, we don't have a maximum.
You don't have a maximum.
But it's also at that point where the county can also ask that they be state registered as well with GDA.
What, GDA?
Georgia Department of Agriculture, GDA.
If you don't know our inspector for this area, her name's Morgan.
Any other comments, questions? Well, I want to get our attorney to clarify something here. He said that we don't need to take up the variance, we need to take up the conditional use.
I think that's the right legal way to phrase it. I would phrase it something like motion to, assuming this is what somebody wants to make, motion to grant the conditional use with an acknowledgement that the acreage is justified by vested rights.
Can you tell us a good definition of vested rights?
Vested rights, I'm trying to remember, I looked at it not too long ago, but, vested rights is when you've made substantial expenditures based upon, existing zoning ordinances, and then the requirements change after you've already relied upon those, the existing ones.
I just wanted to let everybody hear that definition as well as the board, when we're considering this before we make.
Right. It's not like this magic thing that is going to apply in all situations, but I think the applicants explained enough to justify application here if the board so agrees. And of course, to my little wording there, if you want to add other conditions like maximum number of animals, housing, buffers, whatever, those other things, you can do that as well.
All right, I think we've had plenty of discussion on this one. So, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion to approve, a motion to deny, or a motion to approve with conditions. And state whatever those conditions are.
I'll make a motion to approve, with Mike's guidance and wording that he provided. And then I would like to, have the condition where they are state registered, as well as the number of dogs. And I believe we had in there, it says that with an average of 5 to 10. Is that what?
Yeah, I would say 10 to 15.
Busy holiday weekend.
Yeah, because we also board dogs, so you think Christmas time, stuff like that. Not all of those are 15 straight training dogs.
With a maximum of 15. Did I miss any other conditions?
No. Well, I want to ask you something about your condition, or at least give you my thought.
Sure.
Since this is not meeting the 10 acres, since this is smaller than a normal, I would have thought 10 to 12 rather than 15. But you're making a motion, so I'll just give you some thought.
I'm comfortable with what they presented in the manner in which they have run their business and presented everything. And like I said, if I could please ask you to be good stewards of your community and work together. Our resources as far as enforcement, sometime I wouldn't say would be one of the strengths. And if we can come together and accomplish some of this ourselves, for you, the taxpayer, sir, that I am, that way maybe we don't have to hire other people to enforce. We can self-regulate and be good stewards once again.
So your motion is that this approval with, they be registered with the state?
Yes, and the
maximum 15?
Correct.
Any other conditions?
Isn't that what you're supposed to put conditional?
Grant.
Based on the acreage?
Yes.
Grant conditional use with acknowledgement that the acreage is justified as vested right.
Exactly.
With the condition that the dogs are state registered and with a maximum capacity of 15.
That's clear as mud? Everybody clear on that?
That's perfect. That's
Would you want okay, you want to read that back and then we'll vote on it?
Sure. Motion to grant the conditional use with acknowledgement that the acreage is justified as vested right, and with the condition that the dogs are state registered and have a maximum capacity of 15.
Kennels are state registered, not the dogs.
Kennels, okay, sorry.
I just had a question. If down the road, we're not having any issues, there's no noise complaints, anything like that, would I be able to appeal to increase the number of dogs on our property, because that is putting a limit, on my income and the potential growth of my business. Obviously, with the approval, of the neighbors, as long as there's no issues down the road, is that something that I'd be able to do?
I guess the answer to that is, yes, ma'am, you could appeal for anything, not saying that it will be approved for this.
Sure.
Yes, you do have a right to appeal.
Okay.
No, and actually, the word would be apply.
Apply.
Yeah, you could,
Not
yeah,
appeal, apply.
once you have a condition, once there are conditions, they become part of the zoning, so it's the same application process to change those conditions.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
All right, any other comments?
We need a second on that, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I'll second.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by William and a second by Lee that we grant whatever Tracy said. Any other comments or questions? We're ready to vote. Cynthia?
Yes.
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 All right, you have, this board has approved, and we will recommend to the commissioners that they approve. But I also suggest that on April 3rd, you be here, and all of those that's for or in opposition, please let commissioners hear what you have to say, because you will have a lot of questions, I'm sure. So, I will not be able to explain it the way you do, so please be here, for that second hearing. Do anything else needs to come before the board tonight? No? Not, I get a motion to adjourn? Move to second and we're adjourned. All in favor? Thank you all for coming.
I'm Eric, by the way.
Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Good luck.
Hi, thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming out.
Oh, yeah. And we want to make it happen, but this is my lifelong passion, so we just want to be able to, yeah, but feel free to, come talk to us. We do have our gate up usually because we have dogs out, but feel free to come talk to us.
Before, man, the whole family, when we moved out.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we've only lived for a month and we've already done that about 4 times, but yeah, we're actually hoping to work with Madison County, shelter, Madison County Overflow Shelter,